everybody. It is Wednesday, I forget now, August 19th. This is episode 6 of the Hardcore Smarks, a show where a group of know-it-all smart marks talk about their hardcore obsessions. I am your host, Zachary, and with me, as always, is J-Bone, Stretch, and Wally5. Guys, how's it going? Oh, Wally bringing it in. I like it. What's going on, fellas?
How's it going?
Today was nice. I didn't have to work. I didn't do anything today.
Same here. Did a whole lot of nothing.
Sounds amazing. If only we all had that luxury.
Let's
talk
jump
about.
in.
Let's jump right in. Yeah, since we live such interesting lives that we can just go forever and ever about it, but why bother? Let's just go to today's topic. We're talking about entrances and / the themes that they entrance to in our favorite matches, wrestling business. All right, guys, let's go ahead and let's just go negative because it's going to be the Wally and J-Bone negativity power hour. Let's go with our no-like list. Wally, go ahead and just get this train rolling.
I've got Goldberg.
That's yeah.
The big slow. I don't mean to insult you, Jay, but I have the big slow on there. Naomi.
Yep.
Strowman. Fat ass.
Whoever could that be?
Yes. Sheamus. Becky Lynch and Rey Mysterio. All of them.
Thought I was going to have to cut you off at some point.
Yeah.
You were just going to keep going.
No, that's my list. I actually went back and listened to some more today just to see if I could put anything else on there. That's mostly my list.
Would you say, I heard you say Mysterio, would you say Booyaka 619 is worse than his first theme music?
His first theme music was fine. I don't like Booyaka. I told J-Bone the other day, as soon as I hear Booyaka, I cringe. As does he, I believe.
Yeah, he's on my list too.
So the question becomes then, do you not like their themes because of the wrestler, or do you not like the wrestler because of their themes? Little column A, little column B. Like, where's this hatred stem from? Where does it come through?
Goldberg I hate everything that guy does.
I mean, so
anything that's affiliated with that guy, I don't like. Sheamus is another guy I just don't like. I've never liked him. I've not liked his theme music since day one. Neither me or him particularly have ever liked Sheamus. Keith Lee, I do think his music sucks. So it's not even – that one actually doesn't even have ties to him. I think his music sucks. I think his entrance sucks. I just think that everything about him other than his wrestling ability is lackluster. So I think other people are going to say Naomi too. I don't think I'm the only one on that island.
Yeah, that's me. So, yeah, I'm not a fan of Naomi's amazing, as she calls her song.
I've never felt the glow, ever.
Nope.
Do you have other ones other than me, Jay? Do you have any different ones than I had?
I have a couple. I did have Mysterio, like you, and Naomi I had on there. Another guy, even though he likes to spit bars, R-Truth,
Yeah, I don't like – that's another one I don't like either.
Yeah, that's been his theme music since, 2002. Crazy.
Yeah, I think it's corny. The New Day.
Yeah!
I just, cringe when their music comes on and Big E starts with his spiel,
I don't like – I'm tired of that shit too.
Another guy on here, I like him as a wrestler, but I hate his theme music, Randy Orton. I don't like that song at all.
You're not a fan of Voices?
No, I've always hated that song.
Apparently he was a big hater of his first theme music, that Burning My Light song. He hated that one, so that's why they changed it.
Speaking of him real quick, he's slowly climbing up my shit list of people I just don't like. I really think he's a fucking asshole. So he just can't keep his mouth shut right now. He thinks he's the best wrestler in the world and that he can make fun of everybody else other than himself. He needs to shut the fuck up.
Well, share with the class what somebody you work with or somebody you ran into said recently, or somebody online that you had came across about Randy Orton.
Oh, that he's the best wrestler in the world right now. I'm not buying that shit for a second.
Nope.
That guy's full of fucking shit.
Probably was just trying to be a troll, but yeah.
Well, he was like, no Okada, no Kenny Omega. He started listing people that he wasn't
he's
picking.
trolling.
Yeah.
He's trying to get people like you to talk.
10. I could name 10 guys that I would put ahead of him, I think. So
Yeah.
and Raw sucks, and I'm not. He has helped that show, but that's like saying you're the glowing piece in the big turd in the toilet. That's like saying you're the one piece that's good about that turd in the toilet.
You're the winner of the ugly contest.
So that's DeMarcus Cousins when he played for the Sacramento Kings. You were the one bright spot on garbage, basically.
Yeah.
So do you guys have Zach or Stretch? What do you guys have? Any real quick?
I also have Naomi, so we're going to talk about that. And then this one I'm going to take some heat for. Despite the fact he's one of my all-time favorite wrestlers, I cannot stand it. I have a story behind it. Macho Man's Pomp and Circumstance.
Oh.
For
Explain.
a specific reason, I was in band in grade school and high school, so I had to play that song many times for what felt like hours on end. So I have somewhat like a PTSD-style flashbacks when I hear that song to sitting and playing the same couple bars over and over and over and over again. So it's nothing against him or that song, but...
I explained to Zach, too, that I heard Pomp and Circumstance with Macho Man before I graduated. So if you heard that song with Macho Man first, I think you see it differently than somebody that played Pomp and Circumstance and then found out it was Macho Man's music. I think you would. That's where me and Zach. I think the rest of us probably differ from Zach. We all probably heard it with Macho Man first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not even saying it's a bad piece. I'm just saying it's my own personal bias that every time I hear it, I'm just like, ah.
Just like whenever
Wouldn't that be in the other category, though? We just name it New Age, the ones we don't like, right?
No, just any wrestling music you don't like.
Oh, because I got a bunch from the older ones, too. I just thought we're doing New Age ones.
Oh, go for it.
Well,
Yeah,
I said Goldberg. Goldberg doesn't wrestle anymore, so
Well, he wrestled last year. Oh, go ahead. I'll pipe in after Zach's done here.
No, that's it. I just have a little shot glass of haterade this week. I don't really have anything. It's not one of I didn't feel one of these things with my hate this week.
I'll throw one in there really quick before we get back to you, J-Bone. I'll throw Nia Jax out there because she's not like most girls. And that doesn't when that comes on, that doesn't make me think some big menacing strong woman is coming to the ring. So go ahead.
Just a couple quick ones. Mr. Ass, his music I thought was corny.
I agree. I thought about putting that on my list.
The Red Rooster.
Ooh.
The Mountie.
Oh, I like the Mountie. Don't hate on the Mountie.
When Velveteen Dream came out to the Mountie's music at TakeOver last year in Toronto.
I like the Mountie's music.
Steven Regal, his music was
He's a man.
And one last one. He's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, Jimmy Snuka. His music was pretty corny.
Yeah, I could see that.
So that's it. That's what it is.
Stretch, did you have any more hate for this train?
I didn't. For some reason, I didn't really like Victoria's music growing up on Raw. The one I think she had actually Nicki Minaj. Like before Nicki Minaj was a big time rapper, Nicki Minaj did Victoria's music.
I thought she came out to that Tattoo song.
She did, but then after that, it was the song that was like "I Ain't the Lady to Mess With" or something like that.
Okay.
And that was Nicki Minaj. So that one kind of grained on my ears. What's another one? Eminem, the tag team. I didn't like their theme music. Kind of grained on my ears growing up. Yeah, I mean, there was not a lot that I didn't really like.
Well,
surprise.
Yep.
Surprise. I had the biggest list for that. Surprise.
Do you have more you'd like to add?
Nope. I'm ready to move on. Let's stop talking about shitty stuff.
All right, let's move on to some more fun. We're going to go to, I guess we'll call it the retired themes section. Stretch, do you want to lead this one off?
Yeah, so I had quite a few on my list of guys who don't wrestle anymore. One cool one I'll touch on really quick. So I know he's still wrestling today, but it's a different theme music of his that he doesn't use anymore. Jeff Hardy, but his theme music, No More Words by the band End Ever After. So he used this during the time when he won the WWE title, probably around 08, 09, 2010, something like that. But it was just a perfect theme song. Like when he broke away from the theme song that he had with Matt and the Hardys and everything, kind of went on his own path. But it's always like regarded as like his best theme song that he's come out to, and all the fans clamor for it and want it all the time. But like apparently there's licensing issues with the WWE and they can't get the rights to it, and the band broke up. But
Just not me.
last year I went and saw Jeff Hardy perform. He does, live music and stuff, or at least he did when he was injured. Back in September of last year in my town, and like fans were like, "Oh my God, please perform No More Words," and they were chanting for it, and he did it, and it's actually pretty decent, and it made me think like maybe he could record it himself and redo it or come out to it. But that was one of them for me. Obviously, a couple quick ones I'll touch on really quick. Batista's I liked a lot just because he did the machine gun thing as a kid growing up. I love that with the pyro and everything. CM Punk, the Cult of Personality, I love that a lot.
I have that on my list.
Yep, me too.
And another quick one I'll throw out before I let you guys talk. The Rock, obviously. How can you hate that music?
Both Rock musics. I like the old Rock when he was a heel.
You smell what the Rock is cooking?
Yes, and the electrified, like pretty much any iteration of the rock music, even the Hollywood rock music with the helicopter shit at the beginning. Mm-hmm. Even that's actually might be my favorite rock music is the heel. Whenever we did the wrestling thing, I always made Jeremy use the heel rock music because that's the one me and him liked the best.
And
so
I have a bunch more on my list of retired guys, but they're mostly ones I'm sure you guys will talk about. So
I mean, we can come back to you if we missed anything. So. Zach, go ahead since you don't have a ton. Short.
So I also have Batista for the full reason of just the part of it. Like every time I hear, I get just insanely pumped. I also have then Mark Henry. Somebody's going to get it.
Yeah,
Yep. Somebody going to get the ass kick. Somebody going to get their wig split. Come on, it's amazing.
Me and Jay like 3-6 Mafia, so we like that song just because we like the group. So
Oscar winners, 3-6 Mafia. Yep. I also then it's kind of corny, but it's also deliciously 70s, early 80s. Is Dusty Rhodes' Common Man Boogie?
I mean, how can you not?
Yeah, that's like Ric Flair's music. You have to put Ric Flair. Like Ric Flair's music has to come up.
He was on my list.
Yeah, he's on my list. I was going to just let some other people who could talk about it a bit more, and have a bit more love for it than maybe I do, just through picking it up as I've been watching stuff.
I'll do some, and then some of the ones on here I think you may bring up, Jay. I'll save. So, I'm going to start with Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, had him on my list too.
When I still remember when he's like, when you hear the glass, it's Vince's ass.
Yeah. And that's still that still gets the biggest pop in the night.
I don't even like Stone Cold, and his music is fabulous. Like the glass breaking, and when he came out at 13 when the glass broke with his name, that was cool. That was a really cool entrance. That probably was Stone Cold's best entrance that I can remember was that specific one. I have the Ultimate Warrior on here, of course. He was my favorite wrestler as a kid. I have Evolution. I still like that music to this day.
Gotta love Motorhead.
John Cena, Basic Thugonomics, not new John Cena. I don't really like Cena's new music, but Basic Thugonomics is probably one of my all-time favorite theme musics, period, along with DX. DX is probably my favorite theme music.
And we got to see Cena come out to Basic Thugonomics last year at Mania.
Yes, it was cool. I wish Cena would go back to that because his new music is so lame at this point.
Well, it's become more of a meme now than anything. His new stuff.
I have Edge. I really like Edge's music. Yeah. And Edge is another guy that he's not my favorite wrestler, but I like his music a lot. The Shield. I've always liked the Shield. I know Roman kind of uses a hybrid of it, but I like the beginning of the Shield's music. So, the New Age Outlaws, they always had a cool entrance. Like when Road Dogg would get on their spiel was good.
Right.
Let's see. Specifically, It's Time to Play the Game. That Triple H music is I like that music, and I like his entrance. That entrance is one of my favorite entrances when he spits the water and stuff. I actually got to mimic that one time, so it was really fun.
You're not a fan of King of Kings?
Not as much. I like It's Time to Play the Game. I'm going to give one shout out to WCW, the NWO, and the Wolfpack music. Both of those.
I had that on mine as well.
Both of those. And Shawn Michaels' music is classic. His entrance at WrestleMania 13 when he came down from the rafters and they did it the right way with him, unlike Owen Hart, was was probably one of my favorite entrances, period, like now or then. And I am going to give a shout out to one music that I've always liked, even though they don't wrestle anymore. Enzo and Cass. I still like Enzo and Cass' music.
They're on my list too.
Their entrance was so awesome. WWE completely screwed up when they broke them up because then the wheels just came off. But everything about them was really cool. Like their entrance was cool, and I'm sorry that that went by the wayside because I was really happy when they got bumped up to the main roster. So. What do you got, Jay? Like I said, I skipped a couple because I know you're going to say them.
Yeah, everything pretty much got touched on. A few that didn't. CM Punk, I like the Living Color, but I also like the Kill Switch Engage.
Both great.
A couple I liked their original songs, but the Road Warriors used to come out to Iron Man by Black Sabbath.
I have them. I specifically knew you were going to say that. So.
And, of course, RVD coming out to Walk. Kilgore did that version, but obviously Pantera's the original version.
Right.
Chris Jericho.
Yes.
Walls of Jericho. I love that. That's probably my top two.
Yes. Break the Walls Down is really good shit.
One of my favorites. I know they're kind of corny with the whole vampire thing, but Gangrel and the Brood.
I have that
their
too.
Entrance. And
I have that.
How they came up from the floor.
I knew you were going to say it, so that's why I did. And I still like that music to this day. So
yeah.
And then how can you forget this one? Michael P.S. Hayes, Bad Street.
Yeah.
Good.
That is classic, man.
That's a good
coming out, shaking his hands.
That's a good one, Jay.
Yeah.
And I think that's about it. I got a bunch of stuff that's already been talked about too.
I'll throw another one in there since you were talking about like actual like songs by actual bands being used as an entrance music. Sandman using Enter Sandman and coming through the crowd, drinking beers and hitting himself with his cane.
I
can't bust it open before he even gets to the mat.
Right.
I can't associate that music with anything other than Mariano Rivera. So
I mean, hey, that's another reason to like it.
I didn't like the Sandman either, so I didn't really particularly like him either. So
You mean you didn't like Hack and WCW?
I didn't. No, he's one ECW guy that I didn't particularly like. I also have JBL on here. I like JBL's music too. And I wrote down my favorite John Cena entrance was when he drove the Mustang into Detroit. He drove the car.
23, I think.
That was my favorite John Cena. He's done some entrances too, but that was my favorite one that he did.
I like my favorite Cena Mania entrance is when he came down with all the people dressed like him doing
with
the
the kids,
the clones,
the Eminem, like the Eminem kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's my favorite too.
That's why I kind of went different on that one. A lot of people picked that one, so that's my list.
Yeah, that about touches it for me.
All right, let's do a top 5 of current stuff.
Go ahead, Zach.
All right, should we just do all 5 up here right now real quick?
Yep, go 5 to 1.
So give me like 2 seconds. Okay, number 5, I've decided it was a 3-way tie, but however, I will be giving it to the Young Bucks Super Kick Party. Nice. Coming at number 5. So AEW gets a little bit of love. Number 4, I have Bobby Roode's Glorious Domination. Do we want to go in depth now, or do you want me to just list them off for the time being?
No, just do them a list, and then we'll talk about them all.
Number 3, I have Sasha Banks' Sky's the Limit remix featuring Snoop Dogg. Number 2, I have Sami Zayn's Worlds Apart because I love me some ska. And number 1, Nakamura, The Rising Sun / Shadows of a Setting Sun. I think Rising Sun takes it a little bit, but if you have to be a heel, his heel theme is actually, it still would probably make my top 1 if the Rising Sun wasn't around. So
right.
Go ahead, Stretch.
So for 5, I had Bobby Roode. 4, I had AJ Styles in WWE. Let me clarify that. Although his TNA music was great too, the Get Ready to Fly. 3, I have Cody Rhodes with Kingdom in AEW. 2, I have Kenny Omega in AEW, and 1, I have Shinsuke.
Go ahead, Jay.
All right. Number 5, I had Bobby Roode. 4, I got Bray Wyatt. 3 was kind of a tie between Ciampa and Samoa Joe. 2, Seth Rollins, and 1, Nakamura.
Solid.
Wow. We have a lot of variety here. That's for sure. Other than number 1, because my My list is different from all yours. I have one that one of you guys had. So my number 5 is a tie between Finn Balor and Shayna Baszler. My number 4 is the Sasha Banks remix. Number 3 is Undisputed Era. Number 2 is Owens. And number 1 is Nakamura. So we have a lot of variety here for sure. I'm surprised. I thought there would be a little bit more overlap.
Yeah, I'm going to go through my list just kind of a little bit more in depth then. So with Bobby Roode, we have to talk about TakeOver Brooklyn too. That's also one of the greatest entrances. It's just the spotlight with him on that tower, just arms out, just like, it's just, that is something else. That was a, when I saw that, I couldn't believe what I was looking at because that was fairly early on to when I started watching NXT, and I'm just like, this is what they do every time. This is insane.
That is the greatest NXT TakeOver entrance night ever because we had Bobby Roode and Shinsuke that night.
Yep. So yeah, we'll just jump to Shinsuke because it's the exact same night. Just the that guy in that violin just shredding it up, and then you couldn't ask for a crowd to be more hype than with that entrance. That was something else.
Right.
That's the best entrance in my personal opinion ever. In wrestling history, that Nakamura entrance, the first one with the violin, is my all-time favorite wrestling entrance. Period.
And then they even brought that same violinist when Shinsuke debuted on SmackDown too.
Yep.
And that was cool. It was cool that night. Me and Jay have talked about that, how they had everybody was eating that shit up that night. They were singing his music, and then a year and a half later.
Yep. Should have seen the writing on the wall.
Typical WWE fashion. We ruined that.
Yeah, I watched the entrance at least 7 or 8 times on YouTube over there.
Me too.
Yep. And then with Sasha Banks, I think her remix is just her song was decent to great before, but this elevates it to something else, especially when it drops out and then you get the horns kicking in. It's
here's the story about that one. I was at Zach's for a picnic, and he was like, I'm like, you haven't heard Sasha Banks' new music yet? He's like, no, I played him it for 30 seconds. He's like, oh my God, this is fabulous.
Yeah, first of all, it's the same. It's fine. And then all of a sudden, boom, it drops out and the horns kick in. I'm like, yes.
She probably kicked Bobby Roode out of my top 5, I would say. So, because her music's great.
And I just want to touch real quick on my number 2 with Sami Zayn. Again, I'm a big ska fan, and it just gets me pumping every time he comes out, just high step into it.
And even when he's a heel too, he still hams it up just to be a fucking dick, for no reason. He was on
that ska, it's that punk way, it's just to be just do you. It's pretty good. But yeah, other than that, like I said, Super Kick Party is just a great kind of 80s-ish entrance that just every time I hear it, I get super super hyped.
They're on my honorable mention. They have a cool entrance with the money and everything. They probably have that's probably my favorite AEW music. That and the one that that's on Eli's list.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Stretch, why don't you go ahead and dive in a little deeper there if you have any other comments?
Yeah, so my 5 was Bobby Roode. It's been talked about ad nauseum, but I'll throw one quick note about it in there. I did like how when he first debuted on NXT television, him and Gargano and Ciampa did a little series of YouTube videos where they'd go around just the performance center.
Those are funny.
Full Sail,
those are hilarious.
They'd kick open bathroom stall doors and the music would play. The 3 of them together was a good dynamic, and I'm sad we never got to see any more of that on TV. But that was a good little touch on that for me, and it's already been talked about. AJ, I always love him coming out with his hood down, all mysterious, and the pyro when the music drops down and then comes back up. I was actually at a SmackDown before WrestleMania 33, and he came out because he was fighting Shane that year at WrestleMania. He came out for a contract signing, and I was positioned behind, kind of behind the entranceway a bit, up a second concourse, and I wasn't sure. This is around the time WWE started to cut pyro out, so I was like, oh, they're probably not going to do the pyro for his entrance. And boy, they did it. It was loud. I was behind the stage. I've heard the pyro before, but I've never been that close to it. So it was loud, and I was filming it on my phone, and you could see when the pyro happened, I do this, and my hand jerks because I've
so it was out of me. It was like Kane pyro.
Yeah, it's loud. That shit is loud live. So for me was Cody Rhodes, Kingdom. Downstate's a great band, the band that recorded his music. They also did Britt Baker's music, and they did Matt Cardona's new music. So I feel like AEW's got ties with them, but they're cranking out, entrance music left and right, and they're pretty damn good. And that one's another one with the pyro live, and that's pretty good. And when he comes up from underneath the stage in the center of like that chandelier thing they have on their set in AEW, is pretty good.
I personally think all of AEW's music sound the same, but that's just me. I think a lot of them sound the same. I actually think that whoever is doing their music is doing a mediocre job, personally.
So you think that Darby Allin sounds the same as Cody Rhodes?
No, but like me and Zach had this conversation like 4 days ago. Zach said that if you took the lyrics out of songs, he wouldn't even know who half of them belonged to. So that vibes with that. That if you took what they're saying out of songs, I would take the NXT guy over the AEW guy in a heartbeat as far as producing music. Like, no questions asked on that one.
I guess. 2, it's Kenny Omega. It's got like a good feel to it. It pumps you up. It starts kind of getting faster and faster and faster, and then are you ready for this? And he comes out, and this badass guy who's ready to kill everybody. And then 1, Shinsuke. It's been talked about at length, but I wanted to throw that in there about when they brought the violinist to SmackDown, and how excited I was for that moment to see him. And he was coming out to interrupt the Miz too.
Yes,
it was a good feud that I was like already ready to see, but it just never really went anywhere.
Yeah.
Where do you fall on his face versus heel?
I like the heel music, but I mean, obviously, if you're going to make the man a heel and he has the most infectiously, singable or sing-alongable entrance music known to man, they have to change it up so the fans won't sing along and cheer him when he comes out. So it sucks. Like the newer one, the heel music isn't as great as the face music, but I understand why they did it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jay.
I mean, Bobby Roode, we already talked about him. He was my number 5. I think a really cool entrance. I like it a lot. Then I had let's see, Samoa Joe and Ciampa. I think both their musics are real good.
Are you talking about Ciampa when he came out to no music?
Yeah.
Man, that's a great song he comes out to.
Yeah.
I have Ciampa on my honorable mention.
Yeah,
so.
as Zach just said, the "fuck you Ciampa" music.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's see. Bray Wyatt. I think his music's just cool. When he comes down with the lantern and all the fireflies or whatever had their phones glowing in there. I just think it's always been really cool.
Yeah, definitely.
That's one I definitely disagree on completely. So I don't like his music. I don't like any of that stuff with that. So
it's definitely an entrance.
His entrance is like the one thing I kind of like about him, actually. So
yeah, I mean, you can't have everything like heavy metal music or whatever. I mean, you got to have a mixture.
No, I've never liked him ever, so I've never liked his music. So
his is definitely one entrance that's definitely a product of the time. Like, obviously, people holding up their phones with the flashlights and stuff. You couldn't have that in like the 90s or whatever. You'd have camera flashes, sure, but I wonder what it would be like in like the Attitude Era.
I have lighters.
Yeah.
I have and never will be a Firefly.
Couple haters.
And then Seth Rollins. I don't like the Monday Night Messiah music as much, but I like the Burn It Down.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Just a cool song.
I liked that music before they put the Burn It Down at the end. Then it lost its luster for me. I felt like they were pandering too much at that point. I liked it before they put the Burn It Down at the end.
So just those 3 words affected that much for me?
Yeah. It was pandering. It was pandering to the crowd. So
the funny thing is, WWE, I had read this a while back. WWE had recorded multiple like sayings or like something of somebody saying something to put in that moment of empty space before the beat kicks in. And Burn It Down won it out for them, like among the creative team. But one of the things apparently they had recorded was like this woman going, "Ooh, Kingslayer."
Ooh, Kingslayer.
So
Thank God I didn't use that one.
I'd say you got the better end of that deal. It could be worse.
And then number 1 was Nakamura. I mean, we talked about it. Just a fabulous entrance. And that's it.
For me, It has to be the NXT. My tie. It has to be the NXT Finn Balor music. I don't like that they cut the beginning off it when they moved him up to the main roster. I like the beginning of his music, so they kind of ruined his music a little bit when they cut the beginning off.
Where it's like the heart, where it's like the heartbeat.
Yes, I like that, and it also made it easier for him when he came out as the Demon. It made it easier for him to get to the ring before he had to start doing anything. I think that they trimmed that down and they made it harder for him to get to the ring then to start doing that stuff that he does with him. So, and Finn's not my favorite wrestler, but I've liked his music since the first time I've heard it. That's the thing about all of these on my list. First time I heard him, I was in. Shayna Baszler, same thing. Me and Zach were at the takeover right after she debuted where she didn't win, and I was already in on Shayna at that point. Like, she's an acquired taste, but I, for some reason, like her music. And I could have put other people on my list, but when I, like, sit down and listen to music, that's one of the ones I'm, like, waiting for. The other three for me are predictable. I mean, we already talked about Sasha. So I like Sasha's other music, kind of, but when she remixed it, that changed everything to where it was like, oh, my God, this just went from an honorable mention to one of the better musics they have. The other three are predictable with me. So, I mean, I've liked Owen's music since day one. It's my ringtone on my phone, and Shock the System is my text message sound. So, I mean, those
can confirm.
Yeah, same.
So, I think Adam Cole has the best entrance, or undisputed, whatever. I think they have the best entrance in wrestling right now, period. I don't think anybody gets a bigger pop than Cole does right now. That's why I can't wait to see him.
Well, nobody does right now.
Well, you're right. But when there's fans in the crowd, I still just seeing him get that pop on the main roster, other than that one time he was at the Royal Rumble and when he was at Survivor Series, like he's there. They may drill it into the ground and ruin it, but
I will harp on that too. I watched, leading up to this and doing my research and everything, I did watch his entrance on SmackDown when he faced Daniel Bryan like 6 or 7 times in a row and saw how big that main roster crowd popped for him.
I mean, he gets when we went to the Agora, that place erupts for Adam Cole. I've been to little dinky NXT house shows, and the place goes apeshit for that thing. And it is the problem when they get to the main roster is it turns into the stupid people doing it just because everybody else is doing it. When you go to like the NXT shows, those are mostly like hardcore wrestling fans, and they're doing it because they like Adam Cole. On the main roster, it's going to turn into the Cena sucks people doing it just because everybody else is doing it because it's the cool thing to do. That's what's going to happen. It's going to get ruined on the main roster because of the 90% of the idiot wrestling fans out there are probably going to ruin it. But
for Cole, also, I don't think it gets better than his TakeOver 25 where he comes out with Josiah Williams. Right. It's so good. And then I want to go back to Finn real quick, just because talk about the Demon. But how about Demon Jack the Ripper from TakeOver London?
Demon Jack the Ripper was really cool. So, and I don't like the Demon at all. I'm not a fan of the Demon. I never have been. I think all of a sudden he's a better wrestler when he's the Demon. I don't understand. Yeah. Just like Bray Wyatt's unbeatable when he's the Fiend. So, but he's fine when he's just Bray Wyatt. That doesn't compute to me. I know it's wrestling and it's fake, but it doesn't compute to me. So I don't really like the Demon. But he's had some cool entrances as the Demon. I just I don't really like the Demon. Sasha's entrance at the first TakeOver was cool when she came out in the Escalade with the security guys, and they picked her up and put her up on the ring apron. Yeah. That was cool. I mean, we already talked about TakeOver Brooklyn with Bobby Roode and Shinsuke. That's the greatest night of entrances ever. And there was only 5 matches that night, and that's still better than any WrestleMania with all their crappy entrances that they try to, I don't give a shit about Rusev coming out on a tank. I could give 2 shits about that. They could blow the fucking tank up at this point. I don't fucking care. So that didn't do anything for me, seeing him come out on a tank. I wish he would have fallen off the tank. So there's been some hokey WrestleMania entrances. There's been a couple of memorable ones, but some of them have been hokey. Like Stephanie and Triple H, some of theirs have been hokey. So the Undertaker's done 8,000 hokey entrances at WrestleMania because it's cool when the lights go out. We bring the Druids out. That's cool. Even if we change it up a little bit, it's not really cool to me. So I don't give a shit about seeing the Druids and the lights go out. So I don't care anymore. I know a lot of people like The Undertaker, and when you see his entrance in person once, maybe it was cool the first time, but for me, that was like 1992. So it's been way long, and I've been to multiple WrestleManias. I've been multiple shows where I'm like, oh, I can go pee now because it's going to take The Undertaker 10 minutes to get to the ring. So, and I don't care.
It's longer than his matches.
Yeah, yeah. So The Undertaker, I get it with people. It's never done anything for me.
Fair enough. We want to talk about some honorable mentions.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll throw some out there. So I did my honorable mentions probably a bit different than you guys did. So my top 5 was based off of entrances as a whole, like, you know, coming out, the pyro, the music, all together, the way the superstar handles themselves. And my honorable mentions were just purely if an entrance was just one or the other, or just like a good song, but like maybe a shitty wrestler. So I had Mike and Maria Kanellis. They had a really, really good song, in my opinion. Didn't care for them as a tandem or as wrestlers or whatever, but it's like the greatest power rock love ballad you could ever have. I had Daniel Bryan as an honorable mention. I love Flight of the Valkyries, so that coupled with a little bit of guitar was pretty good.
Yeah, nothing wrong with Wagner.
Dolph Ziggler, his music was pretty damn good, and one of the biggest pops I've ever seen when he came in to cash in on Del Rio. The place went crazy when that hit that night after WrestleMania. And just because I'm a big fanboy of his, Pete Dunne. I love Pete Dunne.
Knew that was coming. Told Zach, there's no way we're not getting Pete Dunne tonight.
It just gets you hyped. Like it's on my workout playlist. Like it's just it gets you like it's the same measure over and over, honestly, but it's like so hype, and you know, like it's the same thing for me. Like, you know, this guy's about to come out and he's about to kick ass. Like,
yep.
I'll go Zach. So I'll go. I had Ciampa on mine. I had Kenny Omega. I had Super Kick Party. I had Bobby Roode. I also have the Best Friends AEW theme. I like that one. I don't know why. I didn't even like them at first, but for some reason, maybe because Orange Cassidy started coming out to that, but I like that music. I have Io Shirai on here. I definitely like her music. This once she turned heel, her music was lame before that. I have the Street Profits because their music's awesome.
Yep.
And I have to put Brock on here because Brock's music has been badass since day one for me. I've liked Brock's music always. His music I still like it. You know, however many years later, I still like his music. So I think I think it's cool when a guy has the same theme music and doesn't change it. So I don't know what determines that and what doesn't, but it's just strange that like Shawn Michaels had the same music always, and Brock Lesnar's had the same music always. But a lot of these guys, they change it. Even John Cena, they changed it.
But Cesaro's had like 6 different entrance music.
Right. So I don't know what determines that. I've never understood that because Michael's music obviously stood the test of time for years.
I think some of it is a product of the gimmick, honestly. Like, if you think about it, Michaels, he's been heel and face, but he's had the Heartbreak Kid gimmick for almost his whole career. And same with Lesnar. Like, Lesnar's just a beast. Like, he's going to be the beast, so he doesn't need different music ever. So I guess a lot of it could be a product of a gimmick. So if a lot of
like Bailey had to change her music.
Yeah. Or Shinsuke. So they didn't want him to get cheered. They wanted to stop the fans from singing along, so they changed his music. So maybe that's where that could come from.
Somebody go ahead. That was my.
Right, J-Bone, go ahead.
All right, I'll go with Aleister Black.
I have him as well.
Kevin Owens, Brock Lesnar, Karrion Kross, and Okada.
Oh, I like that little New Japan flair at the end there.
Yeah, Aleister Black does have a really good entrance. I don't like him, but his music.
It's called Root of All Evil, and I have to mention the Brooklyn 3 takeover, where it's performed live by Code Orange and Incendiary. It was really good.
It is a badass entrance, but if you go on YouTube, it is funny. You can see all the videos of people like filming him running over to go lay down.
Yeah. That's fine. I'm there for the televised version of it.
Right.
I also do have Karrion Kross Dead Silent, so he may end up, sucking the big one, but at least for the time being, his entrance is pretty good. And then I think the only one we haven't really mentioned, I have Nikki Cross, Glasgow Cross.
Mm-hmm. the spin on the sanity thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, spin on the sandy that they do on it, and it's pretty good. So I always get pumped when I hear that one.
Cross is too new for me to go there yet. Like, he's way too new for me to go there with him. So I got to see something more out of him before I'll put.
As he proved this week, him and Keith Lee are on fire.
Oh,
Literally.
Well done, sir.
So I think we're good. I think we're good.
I think that does it.
That means it's time. Yes. For the scenario of the week. Before I get into it here, rules. No repeat answer. No talking about it ahead of time. They get to know about it about a week in advance. And champion will be going first. But our champion is elsewhere because he is a special guest. So this week at random, I did a random number generator starting with Wally at 1, J-Bone at 2, and Stretch at 3, and J-Bone will be taking it this week as number 2 is the number that came up. So this week, I was mean. I told them I was going to give them a scenario. I just told them the scenario was them with a wrestler on a deserted island, and we would avoid the easy answer of like, oh, I'm going to pick a girl because she's hot. But I told them it was going to be a twist. Well, I lied. There's going to be 2 twists. Here we go. Yes. It's 2021, and the coronavirus is a thing of the past, guys. Humanity won. We made it. Life has returned to normal, and the excesses of capitalism is back in full swing. All of wrestling, and all of your favorites, have decided to book a cruise liner on the newly commissioned HMS Titanic 2 to go cruise around the Caribbean seas to avoid the pesky, northern icebergs and, avoid the embarrassment of history repeating itself. And somehow you got lucky enough to have an all-access pass. It's heaven. It's amazing. Nothing could go wrong. But wait. Global warming rears its ugly head. Months earlier, thanks to a warmer than normal winter, a large chunk of the northern pole steers off and heads south as if on a mission. Like a wolf hunting its prey, it avoids all detection and waits patiently until the perfect moment, and it strikes. The Titanic sinks yet again. It just mere moments. There's no trace left behind. Somehow, though, you survive, floating on a door that can fit 2. You hear that, Rose? Ya bitch. Jack deserves better. Anyway, you can rescue 1 wrestler. Everyone else will perish. From here, you will float in the ocean for days. Luckily, you make your way to an uncharted island, and there you have to survive for months until you're rescued. So hopefully your companion knows some survival skills. That's twist 1. Twist 2! Once you're rescued, you and this survivor have to go and start your own new wrestling federation because there is no more wrestling. So who are we picking? Let's go with J-Bone.
I picked Jimmy Superfly Snuka. He's from the island of Fiji, so and he knows how to crack coconuts over his head, so I don't have to worry about
and other people's heads.
Yeah, and pineapples. So there's an easy way for me to get.
I like it.
And he knows how to survive on an island, so I'm going to pick Jimmy Snuka.
A little old to start a wrestling federation around the guy, but still
and a little dead.
All right, Stretch, go ahead.
So I had an answer up until you threw those twists in there. I'm still going to go with my answer, but just based off of what you threw those twists in there, I, for a brief second, thought of going with Typhoon.
All right.
Just because he could control the water. No, that's not my real answer. My actual answer is going to be Hardcore Holly, because in his time since retiring from wrestling, he has become a wilderness survivalist and a big wilderman, and he's into camping and all that stuff, and he posts videos on YouTube all the time about it. And he's great at surviving things because he survived a broken neck from Brock Lesnar. He survived a gash on his back on ECW from going through a table and a staph infection after that. And he also survived the Thurman Sparky Plug gimmick. So if that man can survive all that shit, he can survive on an island and help me get to where I need to be. And he might be a bit old to start a wrestling company, but he always kind of puts in a hard-fought match, especially against rookies. He's historically known as not liking the rookies that much, so we could break in some guys and get them wise to the business pretty quick.
I like it.
He was a piece of shit.
All right, what's your answer, smartass?
No, I'm saying as a wrestler. I'm not saying
Okay.
that your answer. I'm saying he was an idiot.
All right, well, tell me your answer then.
It's not my answer. It's my wife's answer.
Oh, wow, because you couldn't
Uh-oh.
come up with anything. Huh?
Here we
Nope.
go.
We're in trouble now, though. She's good at this.
She gave me 2 answers. Your twist makes me pick Hangman Page because he's also a survivalist and he's very good at doing all that stuff. And he's a good wrestler. So he's a guy I could build the company around because so it's basically he's good at being on his own, just like Hardcore Holly. Very similar situation. I just will take him because he also is a guy I could build a company around. He's a good enough wrestler that I could build my company around him too.
Let the record show that Wally has said in the past he doesn't get it with Hangman and doesn't think he's a good wrestler.
There's no alcohol on the island, so how's
I know
he
he's not going to be able, and he's shown that he walks out on his friends. So
he's gonna end up eating Wally.
My other answer is not somebody I would have necessarily wanted to. It was a woman, and I don't know if I want to build a company around a woman. So
No,
I went
let's just
with
hear it. Let's just go ahead.
Rhonda. She's also very good at outdoorsy, like survival stuff. So that was my. Nicole gave me those 2 answers 5 seconds after I told her the question. So.
Both
So
solid,
she
both
was
solid.
she was on top of both of those. I just think Hangman's a better person to pick out of those 2 as far as wrestling wise. So
J-Bone, do you have any other answer besides a old / dead guy?
I didn't think it mattered when they were,
yeah, I mean,
you know.
well, he
Joe
said no.
went
He
back-
said it's 2021. He said it's 2021. Snook is dead.
Joe
Well,
went back
any
in
of
the
these
time-
guys could be dead in 2021, though.
Well,
Joe went back in the time machine and got Burt Reynolds last week. So I feel like at this point, that's
well,
like
that's
you
fine,
can-
but I didn't hear a time machine mentioned by Jay, so if we can give him the benefit of the doubt, that's fine.
Yeah,
this
there's
is
a time
tough.
machine.
There it is.
Go back in
Perfect.
every
my
time
God.
we'll just say the time machine now. Every time we're going to get a dead guy. So thank
That's
you,
it.
Joe.
That
Yep.
should be an instant disqualifier now.
Oh, I like this one. This is a fun one.
Your twists weren't as bad as I thought they were going to be. I didn't have to change my answers really, so I'm glad that your twists weren't as
Yes.
bad as I thought they were going to be. I thought I was going to have to completely come up with something on the fly.
Yeah, it turns out it's not a deserted island. It's going to be a casino in Vegas, guys. I just lied to you. All right. I'm going to give this one to Stretch. I think you got the best 100% all-around guy in that one. Just because I can see Hangman deciding to eat Wally.
Oh
Just
God.
making that twist there. Just being like, hey, bud, just look out the sunset there.
Like-
just club on the back of the head. Kind of like, you know.
Like
a
he's gonna get
Lenny.
like heat. He's gonna get like heat exhaustion, and Wally's gonna turn into like a bottle of whiskey or something. In his
Yeah,
eyes.
exactly. Yeah. Why is the whiskey gone? Exactly. Oh, that was fun. I loved it. My favorite segment. Let's move on to then everyone's favorite segment, the Wednesday War wrap-up for the shows that aired August 12th. Who wants to start this one off with their favorite show? Or not favorite
Go ahead,
show,
let-
but just
let Jay
take a
go.
show. All right, Jay, what show do you want?
It doesn't matter. I guess we could do NXT, I guess.
Lead us off.
I thought it was all right. Leading off with the carrying cross match. I thought it wasn't too bad of a match. Afterwards, that's when Keith Lee came out and wanted him to sign the contract, and he got hit with a fireball, which I thought was great. Next match, I think, was Tyler Breeze and Escobar. I thought that was a solid match,
Mhm.
with Escobar winning.
It's a solid match, but Breezango deserves better.
Yeah,
I agree.
yeah, I agree. Then you had the women's match with Hartwell and Mia Yim. I thought that was an okay match. The best match of the night in NXT, I thought, was Damian Priest and Bronson Reed. I thought that was a really good match.
I agree.
Then the Gargano promo, I thought that was great.
Yes, I love their dog. Cute little pupper.
Yeah, and then the triple threat match, I wasn't really impressed with it. With Cameron Grimes winning it. I know Adam Cole kind of made a little cameo there when they interfered in the match, but I mean, Gargano didn't wrestle, Cole didn't wrestle, Ciampa or Finn. I just thought it was a little light on the card there. But I don't know. Overall, I thought it was an okay.
What do we think about Dream being back? I was actually pretty surprised that they went with him on that one. That was not one I would have thought to have predicted.
Interesting choice on facial hair on his part.
Yeah,
Yes.
the blonde.
Yeah,
He's-
and if WWE was, assuming they're done the logical thing and concluded their investigation and found him to be not guilty of whatever he was accused of, I feel like they would have at least put out a statement saying, Patrick Clark, aka Velveteen Dream, has been cleared, or our investigation yielded sufficient evidence. But
maybe they're trying to appeal to the 12 to 18 demographic.
oh my god. So yeah, that being said, it just seems a little shady for me. Either WWE is trying to sweep it under the rug and just say, "Hey, look, this guy's good at wrestling. Let's forget about what he may or may not have done." But
he looked like he aged 10 years, so he Greg Oden on us. I feel like he Benjamin Button.
well,
He looks like 10 years older to me.
That facial hair is so god awful. Like, I don't know why you go with a blonde goatee.
I actually liked that match though, so I liked that match.
I did too.
I liked the ending. I liked Cameron Grimes winning, so I was okay with that. If I'm booking next week, I'm having Velveteen and Finn no contest and put both of them in the ladder match. That's like I'm booking Gargano in and get Finn and Velveteen, get them all in, and that's I did like that, the triple threat match. I wanted it to be Ciampa. I really wanted it to be Ciampa, so I was slightly disappointed when it was Velveteen. I would have rather seen Ciampa in that instance, but Velveteen might be better in a ladder match than Ciampa. That might be one of the places where Velveteen might actually be a little bit better. I was still disappointed that it wasn't Ciampa, but I did like that match. That was actually my favorite match on that show. The Gargano promo was my favorite part of the whole two shows, actually. The Gargano promo was great.
Let my record show, too. I mentioned this, I think, a week or two ago, that NXT, with the guys qualifying for this ladder match, all but one, Loomis got taken out of the match and Priest wasn't in that tournament, but all but one have been in the breakout tournament that NXT held, and that's Bronson Reed, Cameron Grimes, Dexter Loomis. Priest is great too. He didn't need to be, in any tournament. People know him from Ring of Honor and everything, but it seems like they're leaning heavily into trying to push a new crop of guys.
Trying to think.
Well, I love the Robert Stone's, his red suit. That just needs to be his regular suit from now on.
Suit was fabulous.
Yeah. And I like how Mercedes Martinez is kind of the silent muscle and Aaliyah is the loudmouth of that group. I
didn't really like the first match. We still didn't really see much out of Cross other than the fireball, the beginning segment. I don't care. So that match is, if that match ends up being a 4-star classic at the TakeOver, I'm going to eat my words. So, because that match is not going to be a good match. So there's about a 10% chance right now that match. The only reason that match may not be the worst one on the card is because Adam Cole's fighting Pat McAfee, and Pat McAfee's not a wrestler. So that match should be the worst match on that card because he's not a wrestler. So I don't know what the other match. We still don't know what the other match is going to be. They usually have at least 5 matches. Maybe it's going to be a, cruiserweight match. I don't know.
Probably going to be Swerve and Phantasma, whatever his name is.
I thought NXT was okay. I don't think it was great. I just thought it was okay.
Yeah, there's one other thing that happened. Excuse me. That NXT did. I forget who Killing Dane was fighting. Forgive me. I don't have that in my notes.
Drake Maverick.
Thank you. That's right. It was a decent match, but then they not only do they cut to commercial, but they're also more concerned with loading Keith Lee into a meat wagon. So suddenly that match is the third most important thing going on. Like, that's such an insult to both Maverick and Killian Dane. That's insane to me.
And then the Undisputed came out and beat the crap out of them. So that match really it served no purpose other than so they could show Keith Lee getting into the ambulance, because heaven forbid, that's what we all want to see on a wrestling show, is this guy getting in an ambulance. So, and then Undisputed attacked them. So that match had no purpose. Weird.
Well, it sucks too, because they kind of fell the storyline with Maverick and the cruiserweight title and him getting his job back and everything, and Phantasma, whatever his name is, I can't remember his other name. Phantasma injuring Maverick and putting him out for a couple weeks, and then Breezango coming in to help him. That whole storyline, they kind of just dropped him now completely. Put him in a nothing match with Killian Dane just to get beat up. Where are they going to go with him now? Is he just going to sit there and collect the paycheck, which I'm sure he's fine with, but what was the point of all that with him in the cruiserweight tournament then?
And I do have to say, despite the fact that he stole the love of my life from me, Killian Dane's looking good. That dude has trimmed up. He's looking just, he's getting cut. I mean, it's impressive just the amount of work he's put into getting healthier.
That's the guy, when you're an announcer on your show, you brag about that guy losing 50 pounds, not that Kingston guy on AEW whose gut was hanging out. You don't brag about that one. This is the guy. They should be like, hey, he lost a ton of weight, because we can even see that he has. That's the guy you brag about, not some guy with his beer gut hanging over his shirt. So,
did Taz make that call where he's like, hey, Kingston looks slimmer or something like that?
I don't know if it was. I don't think it was Taz. For some reason, I don't think it was Taz.
No, because Taz made that other bad call about Reba. He's like, yeah, Reba's no slump in the ring. She's had over 100 matches. And then she's like, goes up to do a moonsault.
I don't know what I'm doing.
I don't know what I'm doing. Like,
and then we can cut to AEW, because it didn't even take Jim Ross 5 minutes to fuck up this week. Like he called whoever, Darby Allin. He messed up not even 5 minutes into the show. He fucked up. Like, hey, JR, time to stop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's just go right into the AEW. Yeah. I think the Young Bucks versus Dark Order was a great match.
Mm-hmm.
It was.
Really good rope work from Nick, where he transitioned from the second rope, like just jumps up to the third rope, and then without stopping, like then does like a moonsault off of the third rope. Was just some really good stuff for kind of a low consequence, kind of nothing match. They're doing some pretty good work in that.
I told Zach I'm sorry, I'll let you go. I told when those two shows are on, it's hard. I can't switch off when the Bucks are fighting, because if you switch the channel for a minute, you miss stuff, because they do so much stuff when they're on the defensive, maybe not, but like when they're on the offensive, it's hard to turn the channel because you might miss something that they do, and they do a lot of really cool stuff as a tag team. So I'm like, I don't want to turn the channel while the Bucks are fighting, because we're probably going to see them do something really amazing. So sorry, Stretch, go ahead.
No, you're fine. I was just going to say, Uno and Grayson are the strongest workers that the Dark Order has, and props to them for hanging with the Bucks and putting on a good match, because I know we're all not the biggest Dark Order people here on this podcast, but props to them for hanging with the Bucks, putting on a really good match. Definitely
they
made
do
the right
some cool
choice.
stuff. They do some cool stuff. I don't really like them, but they do some cool stuff.
Yeah, they're by far the best workers out of that whole 15 or however many person group the Dark Order is now. Yeah, I put strong showing from the Dark Order, although they looked kind of stupid in the end, doing all of that dirty shit and backhanded tactics to still lose.
Yeah.
Like, at what point are you gonna give them a bone? Like, I know they won last week, and Brody Lee's going after Cody now for the TNT title, which he probably won't win.
Oh, see, I was actually kind of seeing Brody win that one.
Maybe.
That was very just random, though, for him to just pop up on the screen. Like, I thought Cody should have shook Scorpio Sky's hand, or it was a really weird transition at the end of that match. Like, all of a sudden, Brody's on the screen.
Well, I guess it leaves the door open, too, to say, like, hey, your stuff with Scorpio isn't finished, maybe. To say, like,
Brody's on the screen advertising, once again, why I think he's terrible on the mic. So, like, his promo was lackluster as usual, because he's not a guy that should be carrying the mic.
So I wanna touch on MJF's promo.
Yes.
I put again in my notes, he's godly on the microphone, him screaming at Nina to smile. Nina, smile. And then her showing the statistics, the obviously not fabricated statistics of Dictator John and his support, or lack thereof.
Yeah.
That was great. And then how he literally laid down in the ring for Moxley to make him feel more comfortable.
That was great.
And I put I'm going to go ahead and tie this into my prediction of the week later on. But I put, if Moxley attacking MJF and like doing the elevated, the Death Rider version of his DDT doesn't lead to MJF wearing a Burberry print neck brace next week, then I don't want wrestling anymore.
It is happening. It is happening. There is no chance he does not have a neck brace on.
Because before they went to commercial, the paramedics were checking on him and all the backstage personnel, and he's like, "Oh, my neck! Like I can't move," and he wouldn't move. So I swear to God, if he's not wearing a Burberry print neck brace next week.
I was trying to find the petition to sign it to get Moxley's finisher banned. So just to play along with MJF.
Well, then, Wally, you saw somewhere about the parallels between this MJF promo and one that he had a part of years ago.
Yes, the Samoa Joe. He like mimicked when Samoa Joe threw him aside.
When
he
like take over Brooklyn.
Yeah, he mimicked that. Like he did that to that guy, like that guy that's in his cabinet.
Because MJF was one of the extras, the security guards for Joe's entrance, and he like MJF tried to walk in front of Joe, and he like elbowed him out of the way. Yeah. So MJF did that to whoever that random guy was.
Stay out of my stay out of my line or whatever it was.
MJF's promo was fabulous.
Yeah.
So give him a mic every week.
Yes. Oh yeah. And so there was that. I put the why did we need Hikaru Shida in another short match?
Why do we need a women's division match?
Yeah. I mean,
at this point,
it just shows how weak their division is, and it's so sad because I assume it's been known that Kenny Omega's kind of running the women's division for them, and I know he knows his wrestling and his wrestlers, and I have faith in him booking wrestlers, but it's not really showing that. And maybe he doesn't have a lot to work with right now. A lot of his wrestlers, his female wrestlers, are overseas still and can't come to work. But it's just showing how thin that division is right now.
But what's not thin though is the tag team division,
no, not
which
at all.
was
It was
tag team appreciation night. So,
I agree.
They did a great job. I mean, even the Jurassic Express, just every match. I mean, maybe not the most exciting tag team on the show, but they are solid every single week. And then of course we have Omega and Page just doing what they do.
Well, I also liked how that whole Bucks and FTR and Rock and Roll Express or whatever, that whole promo, and Tully and Arn, how they were all kind of jaw-jacking back and forth, and then Tully just comes in and wait, you don't have any championships. Why do you think you're the best?
Yeah.
And then, good Lord, Ricky Morton eating that fucking pile driver at the end.
Them guys they're gonna take bumps until they're dead.
Yeah, no, good Lord, he sold that like crazy.
Yeah, he did.
And then
it looked like Rob Van Dam selling that.
Yeah. And then I just put heel FTR. We knew it was gonna happen, but it's great to finally see it.
Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, anytime an old wrestler gets dropped in the ring, you get brownie points with me for whoever does it. So. One thing I just want to touch on, I said something a couple weeks ago. I don't know if you guys agree with me or not, but I'm still convinced that Cody Rhodes, this is like a slow burn to turning heel. I don't know if you guys see it, but he I don't know, he had 5 or 6 people entourage come down with him to the ring.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you have, a new nickname, the Prince of Wrestling or something? And,
the Prince of Pro Wrestling.
Yeah, to me that kind of sounds like a heel.
That sounds like a really douchey thing to call yourself.
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys see it, but I just been kind of keeping an eye on that.
I think it's fine. I don't want AEW doing slow burns with everybody. I'm the Bucks and Omega. Me and Zach were hey, Kenny, beat the crap out of Marco Stunt, please.
Yes, please.
And then it didn't happen. We were disappointed.
He ate one Snapdragon on the floor.
I know, but that's it. Yeah. He definitely had an opportunity after the match was over to beat the shit out of him again.
Yeah, I kept calling for the punt. Didn't happen. Let's get to it.
When you see, we had MJF, but we didn't have Britt.
Mm-hmm.
So MJF then is completely carrying the promo load for that show. If you don't have Britt too, and we had no Britt.
Do we want to get to the kind of disappointing elephant in the room of the main event?
Yeah.
Yes.
Might as well.
The main event
we were all hyped for it too.
It was very lackluster, and Jay actually said Chris Jericho once again is really starting to show his age, and it's time to stop wrestling guys 15 years younger than you because you can't move like you used to.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it sucks because we got the result we wanted. We got Cassidy winning and probably the definitive end to this feud, or we hope.
Yeah.
Week ending.
But
week ending.
In my notes I put Cassidy versus Jericho was good, not great. Jericho didn't seem that embarrassed because the week before in the debate, Cassidy said, look into the eyes of the man who's not only going to beat you but embarrass you. Okay, do you embarrass him with a roll-up victory? Oh God, no. Embarrassing Jericho would have been, doing some badass finisher or something we haven't seen before.
They both look tired. That's why they botched the finish, because they both look tired. They both look gassed, and they both look like it was me and Zach watched it twice, or it looked like it was a half-ass finish. They were at that point, okay, we need to be done. This match needs to be over. We're probably running out of time. Maybe something like that happened, and they had more spots. I don't know. But it was just a very blah.
Yeah. and then jumped off the air like 10 seconds after the match. It's like off the air. It's like whoa.
Also kind of weird to me how I know, both extra parties and entourages were banned from ringside, but then you have Best Friends and Proud and Powerful come out and fight on the ramp for 10 seconds and like, oh my God, we're all so distracted, enough time for Jake Hager to run in. And then they disappear. Yeah. Like Proud and Powerful and Best Friends just disappear. Like, we're fighting here. Okay, let's go fight in the back now. Like, doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. No, it was just disappointing all around overall, which I don't know who to blame, but it should have been better.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Jericho, you could see like the roll up that like twice he didn't put his leg up, where Cassidy, he had to lift his leg up twice, for him to grab it. And then on the outside, when Cassidy jumped off the top of the rope with his hands in his pocket, he had to get him out because Jericho, the kind of brace his fall because Jericho was standing too far away.
He wasn't going to catch him, yeah.
Yeah. So he took his hands out of his pockets at the end.
It's like, I don't want to die today. So.
Yeah. I'm not Darby Allin.
Right.
So, I was disappointed, too. I was glad that Cassidy won, but wasn't
kill that feud. Put it to rest.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm worried that there might be a third match at All Out. I hope not, but I'm worried.
Yeah, it could because it's 1-1, yeah.
Yeah,
so
you're right.
Put a stipulation on that match, like put a ladder or do something, like at least to spruce it up. Don't let them just fight in another regular match because we don't need another one.
Or maybe they both wrestle with their hands in their pockets.
Ah, that's a good idea. That's some like hokey shit, but that would be kind of cool.
That's like the WWE blindfold match with Jake the Snake and Rick Martel. Like
no, that's like Vince Russo WCW stuff.
We don't need a
$7,000 jacket on a pole match.
All right, so let's.
That show was both shows were mediocre.
All right, Wally, go ahead. Just pick your favorite then.
I'll take NXT by a hair, but it's this is the closest to a push I've been. I'll take NXT by a hair just because I thought the main event was pretty good on NXT and the main event was lackluster. So I don't think either show was great, but I'll give them the edge because of Gargano's promo. And I think the main event was better on NXT. That's the only reason I'm giving NXT the edge.
It's a coin flip for me, too. I'm going to NXT as well on this one. I went back and forth probably about 30 times trying to pick this one, but I just think it just – for no real reason, NXT.
If the main event would have been better on AEW, I would have given it to them.
Yeah, of course. Stretch.
So – I kind of agree both shows were lackluster, and I think Wally will agree, both of our favorite parts of both shows were promos, Gargano's and MJF's. So we couldn't really say, oh, this was the match of the week. But I feel that AEW put on better matches since it was Tag Team Appreciation Night. Sure. There was better people working at a better rate and more enjoyable outcomes and matches and everything. So for that reason, I'll go AEW.
Yeah, I thought both shows were less than stellar. My tiebreaker was which federation had the best match between them, and I thought AEW had the best match, so I'm going with AEW.
And then, did anyone see the ratings this week? I actually forgot to look it up.
Yeah,
AEW, I'm sure.
AEW. Yeah.
So AEW takes it with the tiebreaker again. Another close one, but I mean, both shows just need to step it up. Let's just be honest. So.
Yeah, it's
this was a sad week.
Time.
Well, we're not getting head to head next week, anyways.
Yeah,
or tonight, whatever.
Well, I mean, with TakeOver 30 coming up and All Out coming up, the two biggest shows, arguably for them of the year, like they're not really showing us much yet.
Yep. All right, let's start wrapping up. The wrap up, we're done there. So, J-Bone, what fake prize, because there is never a prize, do you have for anyone who likes, comments, and subscribes to the podcast?
We got a leopard print coaster. Actually has fur on it.
Oh, okay. I was going to say that looks like a chocolate chip cookie, but it
does look like a cookie.
My fat ass is getting hungry. Excellent. Like, comment, and subscribe. J-Bone appreciates you, and you will not receive a leopard print coaster. Stretch, prognosticate for me, please.
Kind of touched on it earlier. MJF has to be coming out next week or cutting a promo from his headquarters in a Burberry print neck brace, and that should be on AEWshop.com within the next week after that.
Amazing. All right. Any parting words from anybody this week?
MJF, I know we're a couple weeks away, but MJF needs to beat Moxley. Like, we're at a point now where that needs to happen. If you're going to do all this, like an election campaign and all this stuff, like, he needs to win.
Well, it's kind of like, too, like, a lot of people are already kind of saying, like, oh, AEW is just TNA light. Like, they're signing all the old WWE rejects and over pushing young guys. Like, this is their chance to push a young guy over a WWE, ex-WWE guy. Like, do it. Capitalize on him, build a star.
Get some heat, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The world was a better place when I didn't have to see Lance Archer, so I was disappointed that I had to see that piece of shit this week.
Jake Roberts back.
So, like, damn it, just get rid of Lance Archer, please. I don't want to see him. I don't want to hear about him. He sucks.
Yeah.
All right. Well, everyone, thanks for listening. It's another fun podcast, and we'll catch you again next week. And as always, if life puts you in a pin, keep kicking out that 2 count. See you guys later.
Deuces.